Yo, what's up, guys? All right, we're live. Hello, hello. All right. And I'm connecting with my friends over at Instagram right now, and we're off to the races. Yes, let's go. All right, so we're live on Facebook, live on Insta. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. Happy Memorial Day. What's up? What up, Kevin Jazz? Yo. Hello, friends. Happy Memorial Day. Let's have some fun here. All right, let's get this party started real quick. Just drop in the comments real quick where you're coming from. Hello, Stephanie. What's up, Dory James? Hey, Sarah Wilson. Good morning. Yo, Jorian from Holland. Mary, thank you very much. I love you too. Ailey, hello. Hey, Steve Foley. What's up, A. Wilson? Mesa, Arizona. You're not too far from me. London. I see London in the house. Wilmer, Alabama. Normandy. Oh my gosh. Wow. And Route Moussaillon, Normandy. Wow. Thank you so much for joining. Texas for Mom Milici. Mom Milici. Kate Penkert, Minnesota. Michelle. What's up, Michelle Greeley? What up, Shan in the UK? And Michelle's in Wisconsin. Spent a decent amount of time there. Oh, we got Manchester in the house with Debbie. Hello, Kansas City. JG Hafner. South Carolina. See Curry Keeks, Estonia. Wow, thank you so much for joining. France with Ailey. Detroit, Michigan with Thomas. Utah, Rissy. Yo. Guys, thanks so much for joining. See beautiful Pink Pixie right here in Arizona. Jane Walters, Wisconsin. Andre, Slovenia. Oh my gosh, we got the international crew here. Well, for all my friends who are outside of the United States, of course, here we are celebrating Memorial Day, and this is when we honor those who have given the greatest sacrifice, and that is the sacrificing their lives for our freedom. And so it's a very special day here in America, and we are honoring those who have given all. So I see Paula in Renton, Washington, JC Ann right here in Phoenix. Yo. All right, guys. Hey, real quick. Let's jump into this and let's have a little bit of fun, but also at the same time, I've got some questions for you guys about Memorial Day. Really quick, if you guys will, drop the salute. Drop the salute emoji if you are honoring someone of family, friend, someone who's close to you who end up giving the greatest sacrifice and someone that you're honoring today for Memorial Day. Give me a salute. Pimpy Rose, hey, real quick. And if you do drop the salute, if you could you also drop their name? Just because I would like to honor them as well. Danny Warren, please drop their name so that I can, and I will mention them. JC Ann, thank you. Katie, thank you. Marcy, Mimi Style, thank you. If you do actually type their name, then I would love to mention them, just so that we can honor them. Jorian, your son, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But I will absolutely honor him today. If you guys want to drop a name, I'm happy to mention it. Susan Tanner Fuji, Mary Clo, absolutely. What's up, Mary? Paula, Daniel Groves, and Danny Groves. Thank you so much for mentioning that, Lacey. Thank you. Katie Baker's grandpa, Melvin Siegman. Stephanie, her great-grandpa, Frederick. Wow, thank you. Mimi says Simon Litke. A.M. Belina, her brother Adam. Shunter 29, Robert Woodruff. Darkrum, Jerry Bouton. Thank you so much. Jen Claire says Edward Peck. I might not get to all these guys, but I'm going to do my best. Pippi Rose says her granddad, Jason Garner. Wow. Thank you, guys. We will honor them today. Herbert Owen Dixon served in the Navy, World War II. All right. And JC Ann's grandpa, Thomas Jones, and grandpa-in-law, Bud Sowers. All right. Thank you guys for sharing this. Charles Keating. Krista. What's up, my friend? And of course, your hubby is a great dude, that's for sure. Nichols, Marvin Day, and Thomas Nichols. Here we go. SJ, I'm not sure how to say Shamarts, but Al Monaldi, Dan Warsham, U.S. Army. Thank you so much. John Thomas says Jules Sprake. Thank you so much, guys. Nicole says Samuel Shreve, Air Force. Anthony Lichtley in the Army in Vietnam. And Dory James, Elwood, David, and many others. Guys, thank you so much. Well, guys, we will absolutely honor them today. I really appreciate you sharing. Okay, let's lighten the vibe just a little bit and think about what it is that they would want for us. And that is the greatest way that we can honor them is to carry their legacy forward and to live our best lives and do everything we can to improve the lives of everyone around us as well. And so we do have that opportunity here, which is what we can, that's exactly what we can do to honor those who have given everything. So, guys, when we're enjoying our barbecue today, let's reflect on this. Speaking of which, question for you. And I did ask this before. I don't know if y'all joined me before in a couple lives ago. I did ask this question. Is it going to be barbecue chicken or is it burgers and hot dogs? What's it going to be today, guys? Barbecue chicken or burgers and hot dogs? Drop it in the comments. Or drop in whatever it is that you're doing today. What's on the menu? What is on the menu, my friends? Yes. Okay, let's go. What's it going to be? What's on the menu for today? Ribs. Boy, I tell you what, that's a really good option right there. Says one fast V8. What about ribs? Let's go. Jane says burgers and hot dogs. Okay. Sarah, let's go. Smash burger tacos. JCN says all three. Danny Conroy Warren says burgers. Okay. Let's go. And Stephanie, meal prepped ranch verde chicken. That's probably the best answer of all. That's crockpot right there. Marcy says taco salad. Okay. SJ. Okay. I got to figure that this one, but the Schmartz one says chicken and Parmesan cheese and zesty Italian dressing. That sounds delicious. All right. Okay, let me see. Over here. Yes, there's strawberry cheesecake. Melinda says buffalo chicken breast. Jessica, what up, Jessica Saldivar? Sloppy Joes. I had 2 Sloppy Joes yesterday, by the way. I hope you loved them. They were so good. I'm dying to hear what you guys think about the cheesecake. Guys, okay, so we got a handful of members from the collective are on here right now. And I don't know if you guys saw my story yesterday, but man, we whipped up a storm. We did this lemon berry sourdough French toast casserole that was absolute nails. It's so freaking good. Then we made sloppy joes. We made a cheeseburger bake. And then we did my strawberry cheesecake. I haven't shared any of these recipes yet, but I want to know, Sarah, real quick, how was that strawberry cheesecake? I had a slice of mine last night and it was insane. But guys, these are all high protein meals. And so they taste just like the real deal. You would never know the difference, except they're low in calories and high in protein. We're talking, this cheesecake's got like 150 calories a slice versus like 400. And it's got like 13, 14 grams of protein per slice. So guess what? Forget one slice, you get 2 slices because that's how we roll. So anyway, yeah, we had a ton of fun with it. I'm dying to know how what you guys thought. Okay, Jess said you had 2 of the sloppy joes. So good, right? I love it. It's so awesome. Oh, Sarah, I'm so glad you like the cheesecake. It is pretty amazing. Oh, thank you so much for the kind words, Danny. Thank you. Yes. Jess, right? That cheesecake, just the base alone is so good. And if you want to add strawberries to it or raspberry or blueberry or whatever it is, we can go. I mean, we're just scratching the surface of where we're going to be going with this one. So, um, anyway, all right, guys. Sorry to be talking food so early. I know the barbecue probably hasn't started for a lot of us, but I just wanted to chum the waters a little bit with some delicious food. That's awesome. Okay. Let's continue the party. Okay, real quick for it. Another question for you. Then you guys can ask me some questions in just a second. But we're hanging out. I want to get to know you guys first. Okay, next question. Is it going to be a big pool party today, or is it more of like a backyard nap? What's it going to be for you? Pool party or just super chill backyard nap? And by the way, like nice and quiet, solo style, or maybe one or two people, but that's it. Let me see. Oh, Connie's asking if I have a cookbook. No, Connie, I don't have a cookbook yet, but I'm working on it. And so just quick little backstory. You know, I've been obsessed with making food for quite some time, but really dove in about 3 years ago. And since I started the collective last year, we do 5 recipes every single week. And so it's been a really fun experience for me because I've got this community and we literally get together, we cook live for an hour every single Sunday, and we make all these delicious meals. And so I've taken all the best meals from just learning all these incredible new recipes as we've been playing around with making all of our comfort foods, like high protein, high fiber versions of them, for anyone who's on the weight loss wellness journey, whether using GLP-1s, because we all know we need more protein nowadays. So we've taken like all the best of those recipes and I'm compiling them into this massive interactive cookbook that hopefully I'll be rolling out in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So stay tuned for that. But we've just, I got this just ninja designer, and it's so cool because we put all this stuff together into these interactive recipes. So like images everywhere, and you can click on any of the equipment or any of the ingredients, and you can it'll automatically shop it at either Walmart or Amazon. It's links to everything. So anyway, I really said so funny. C Bassett says Ninja should sponsor my cookbook. Yes, they absolutely should. I have a feeling they might come knocking after this thing rolls out because if you've seen my kitchen, there's a lot of Ninja stuff in there, and I absolutely love whipping up all my goodies with it. So, okay. So Marcy says it's going to be solo and chill. All right, I can appreciate that. Let's see. Allison Morrison says napping on the lake. That sounds incredible. I could take a nap on a lake right now. JC, I spent all day yesterday at Lake Pleasant. So you're laked out right now. I have a feeling you're just going to be laying low today. Michelle Greeley says backyard with family. Oh, the brother's here from Germany. Very cool. All right. Sarah, it's going to be a quiet one for you, huh? Nice. It's gonna be a quiet one around here also. I'm catching up. I'm recovering from what I thought was bronchitis. I'm on the tail end of it right now. Gloria says backyard nap. Kelly says hanging with her kids. You're gonna swim later today. JCN pool party. It is hot here in Phoenix. Valerie says backyard. I love it. Okay, let me see. I'm jumping over to Insta right now. Chris already did his workout, and then he worked in the yard. Holy smokes, Chris, man, you're killing it today. All right. So, Bakerina. Have I found a recipe for baking in a bundt pan, but suitable with maintenance weight loss program? We want to celebrate 10 years of marriage with your husband. Congratulations on 10 years of marriage. That was as far as I made it in my so, but you're going to do a lot better than I did. That's for sure. So yeah, you know what? I will absolutely start looking into some good bundt cake recipes. Let's see what we can do for you. Here's the best part, guys. When you start to learn some of the tricks of the trade, it's really cool how we truly can make some of these foods, like legit comfort foods, insanely delicious and high in protein. It's been so much fun. And I've learned, it's really been fun is like learning some of the secrets of like true like bakers and some of the ingredients that they use that are not common ingredients, but it's really wild because you can really bring like that whole experience, like a true, like a baked good experience to a lot of these foods. So, anyway, so here we go. Spange Melina, nap post Murph workout this morning. Wow. Good on you for doing Murph. Really quick, for those of you who don't know what Murph is, it's a workout that a lot of people in military, civilian, etc. They do this in honor of all of those who have given all. But it's in memory of Lieutenant Michael Murphy. He was a Navy SEAL, lost his life in Afghanistan. And it's a workout where it's a 1 mile run and then 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, followed by a 1 mile run. Some people partition the pull-ups, push-ups, and squats. And they'll do like five pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 squats, and they'll do like 20 rounds of that. And then they'll run. If you have a weighted vest, some people opt to wear like a 20-pound, 25-pound weighted vest. It's a grinder. It's a really rough workout, but at the same time, I mean, the work you're doing it not for yourself. You're actually doing it. It's suffering for those who have served, who've given all, and so it's a really big thing in the CrossFit world as well, and cross training. So that's awesome that you're doing that. I am going to do Murph this year. I haven't missed it for almost 15 years, but I'm going to have to wait a couple days because I am on the tail end of this bronchitis right now. And the last thing I want to do is relapse. So I had planned on doing it today, but I think I'm going to have to kick that can down the road a day or two to make sure I'm nice and healthy for this one. Let me see here. Okay. All right. A couple more questions for you guys. This is gonna be one more, and then, by the way, feel free to drop any questions that you guys have for me, so we'll have a little bit of fun with that. Is it going to be a big family bash today? I know we kind of touched on the surface of this one. Big family bash today, or just chilling solo? What's it going to be? Go ahead and drop it in. What is it going to be, guys? Yo, Lance just got back from Morning of Murph in Cleveland, Ohio. Wow. So funny. He says he's got a Flesh Fest. Does that count? Yeah, that counts, buddy. That's awesome. Hey, congratulations. If you're talking about a Flesh Fest from weight loss, that's incredible, dude. Okay. Let me see. So what's it going to be? Okay. Stephanie says chillin' solo. The kiddos went back to Iowa today. Shoot. Chris says solo. Got together with the fam yesterday. Lance is golfing with his bro and bestie. That's awesome. Chilling solo with your aunt's birthday as well. That's awesome. Lynn says she's chilling solo, finishing some gardening. How about you guys, Facebook? What are you going to be doing? Let me see here. Valerie's going to be solo. Michelle's watching Mad Dog and Meryl grilling a show on TV. I absolutely have to check that out. It's a whole show on grilling, huh? So cool. Let me see here. Wow. Mary Chloe just got back from Kauai. Welcome back. Aloha. That's awesome. Sarah says you're peopled out, solo for the win. I am with you. I am totally with you, Sarah. I am chilling solo today. And let me see. Carrie says driving past the beach. Too crowded and can't wait to go to the gym. Sounds like something I would do as well. It's like the beach sounds like a really good idea. And the moment you roll up on it, when it's packed, it's like, yeah, I'll pass. I don't do crowds anymore. I used to when I was younger, but not anymore. Chris, am I going to do a book tour when it gets released? I don't know if I'm going to do a tour. You know, guys, I am going to be going back on Good Morning America, June 26th and June 27th. So do we even have DVR anymore? I was just going to say, just set your calendars, tune in. Probably one of those is going to be a food segment. And so I'm really hoping we have this book out by then. And so we can make a really fun announcement on GMA. So that could be a ton of fun. So I'm not sure as far as the tour goes, you know, if there's a lot of demand for it, we could have some fun with that, but not quite sure. Not more than anything, guys, I'm just excited to roll these out and get them to you in a really organized, fun way. I mean, it's going to be everything from, you know, waffles and pancakes to egg dishes to we've got pies and cheesecakes and puddings, and we've got cookies and we got desserts, and then we've got all of our crock pot recipes and barbecue recipes and casseroles. And I mean, and then we got our fast food makeovers from our French fries to, I mean, you name it, we've got it all. We've even got some really like fun recipes in there that I've kind of created along the way, like some special ones. I call them hunger blocks, and they're just these. Well, we'll have to. I'll just leave it at that. But they're really delicious. They're these. It's like a combo between like gelatin blocks and pudding, but they're super high in protein. But they're also they're high in volume, and so it's cool because you get to make an entire pan of this stuff. And if you want, you can eat the entire pan because it's like, they'll range between 500 and 600 calories for the entire pan. But I mean, you make it through a third of the pan and you're done because there's so much volume in it. There's protein and just pure volume because there's also there's gelatin in it as well. So it's just like it expands in your stomach. And so it's just a really cool concept. But then we just found a way to make them absolutely delicious. We put like a Jello pudding on top, and it's like this double layer of deliciousness. But it's such a great little snack to just throw down anytime that you're getting like hunger pangs or anything like that. That's why we call them hunger blocks. So I cannot wait to share this whole thing with you guys. Okay, here we go. Now I am happy to jump. I see some questions flying in for me. So yeah, my turn in the hot seat. I'll flip this around. I won't ask you guys any more questions. And now you can ask me some questions. So Movie Buff, 1975, need advice on motivation to get back into shape. You turn 50, can't seem to get motivated. Honestly, one of the best things you can do is, I mean, there is some pretty legitimate science, and the literature suggests that just creating some sort of small goal, and like you've probably heard of the whole concept of a SMART goal: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. It doesn't have to be huge, but just giving yourself maybe even something to accomplish in like 60 days. But I mean, I would love for you to think big picture. What is it that you'd like to achieve? Because first of all, 50, dude, you're not even halfway there, man. And so you've got a lot of life left to live. There's no greater time than right now to dig in and start focusing on your wellness, because now this is an investment in your longevity in the rest of your life. So think about what it is that you'd like for the big picture to be. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? Make it specific. And then let's break it into what's one thing, just one thing that you can do today to help get you there. Because here's the thing, a SMART goal is great to get that agitation. And this is a good kind of agitation, because this is what's going to go ahead and we're going to release that dopamine. It's that drive to actually get you moving. But the thing is, once you're up and moving, then what's going to happen is exactly what you just mentioned. You're like, oh, I just lose motivation. Yeah, almost everybody loses motivation, even when you've set a big goal. It's very common to lose motivation, especially when you're in the middle of the grind. You're 3 weeks in, you're 4 weeks in. Sometimes when you're there, this is also one of the reasons why it's important for you to understand your why. What is it? What is it like? What is the root behind why you actually want to achieve this? Sometimes it's because you're greatly desiring a better quality of life. Sometimes it's because of a scary health diagnosis or something like that. But why is it that you ultimately want to do that? It's really important that you capture that. I'm going to ask you a question also right now. If anyone's ever out there like struggling to find their why, I am going to ask you a question. And here's what I'd like for you to do. This sometimes can help people find it. There's a couple different ways we can go about doing this. Number one, I'm going to say, what is it that you ultimately want to achieve? Like what I just asked. What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it taste like? With that SMART goal? And that's sometimes extrinsic to you. However, here's the question to help you find your why. When you achieve that goal, what does it mean about you? What does that mean about you when you achieve that goal? Whether it's losing 60 pounds, whether it's fitting into the jeans that you wore in college, whether it's running a 5K, whether it's being able to get down on the ground and play with your kids. What does that mean about you? And a lot of times now we're starting to get one step closer into truly finding what your why is, because it should be tied to a deep emotional need that you have, whether it's to feel worthy of having these incredible kids in your life. And so now you can actually feel like a worthy parent because you can get down on the ground and you can play with them. Or the fact that you can run a 5K, it's like, wow, it means that I can overcome something difficult. I can set a big goal and I can see it through. So just think about what does it mean about you when you accomplish that why? Actually, I heard something kind of powerful the other day, and it was an interviewer, and he said, "Hey," he stopped this guy on the street. He said, "Hey, um, if I said that I was going to give you $10 million right now, would you take it?" And the guy said, "Yeah, I would absolutely take it." And he said, "Okay, well then, how about if I said now?" Hold on, I'm totally going to mess this up. You know what? Let's save this for next week, and I'm gonna get this one, and I'm gonna nail it perfectly because I want to deliver this one really well because it hit me hard, and I want to make sure that I got this one really I got it down well before I actually deliver this one. So give me a little bit of time. I'm gonna go back to this, and I'm gonna sit with it. But anyway, going back to your why. Yeah, find the root of what it is that you're trying to achieve. And then here's the other thing, really quick, guys. If you ever find yourself losing motivation, you know what the literature seems to suggest is stop thinking about the positive of where you want to go. Do you know that our brains are actually wired far more to avoid pain than they are to seek pleasure? And so if you cannot get yourself out of the chair and you can't get motivated to do the thing that you want to do, then this actually seems to be a little bit more effective. Is that I want you to think about what is your inevitable future if you do not do that thing. And if you stop doing it altogether, whether it's going on a regular walk, whether it's working out, whether it's prepping the food, what is your inevitable future if you stop doing that? And I want you to really visualize it. Now, this is not a typical me thing. You know, guys, I'm a positive person, but this is where we can actually use some sort of negative motivation to drive you into doing something positive. Because typically, if you stop doing the thing that you know and deep down inside you want to do and you can't get yourself motivated to do it, you use that negative motivation because if you think about what that inevitable future is, it's probably pretty bad. It means you're going to gain all the weight back. Think about the pain. Think about the emotional pain. Think about the toll. Think about the cost, not just for you, but for everybody around you. So what happens when you stop doing that? And a lot of times, the moment you can flip that switch, you go, I don't want to do this, but you know what? It's a lot better than the alternative. I'm going to go. And you do it. And so if you cannot get yourself moving, sometimes it's okay to use that negative motivation of what's going to happen if you stop doing this altogether. And a lot of times that's enough to get people moving. Dorothy, great suggestion here. Her trick is to do 5 minutes. Tell yourself you just got 5 minutes. And then once you start, a body emotion tends to remain in motion. And Dorothy, we know this, right? And so once you start it, it's a lot easier just to keep going. A lot of times, you go out and you're thinking, oh, the last thing I want to do is a workout. I can't tell, guys, 90% of the time, I don't want to do my workout. But what I do commit to is I'm just going to go out there and go through the motions. I'm just going to do a warm up. I'll do a 2.5-minute warm up. And sure enough, 2.5 minutes in, it's just like, oh, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. All right, well, maybe I'll just try a little bit of this. And you know what? Not every workout is 100%. Some workouts are at 70%, some workouts are at 80%, but you know what? You still do it. That's the most important thing. You just showed up. And so I can't stress this enough, guys. This is what's really important is that you just show up and you go through the motions. And you're putting unrealistic expectations on yourself if you think you have to give 100% every single time. That's just ridiculous. I did a post about this the other day. You will burn out. Set your intentions. Oh, here's another thing. If you're not feeling motivated, set your energy level, your intentional level. Say, look, I'm going to go do that. And I'm not going to give 100%. I'm going to go do it. And I'm going to give it 50%. Watch the relief that you feel when you actually just say that. When you say, I'm going to do it, but I'm only going to give 50%. It doesn't, you already won. If you just show up and do the thing, you already won. I don't care if you give 50%. I don't care if you give 40% or 20%. Who knows? You might start at 20%. You might feel so good. You might end up at 80% or 90%. Who knows? But you showed up. You won. So just think about that. When you are out there and you're thinking, I don't want to do it. Yeah, put the negative behind you and it'll push you into motion. And then set it very small. Lower the barrier of entry. Because we're all, by the way, we're all human and we're all guilty of this. We're all guilty of setting these unrealistic expectations for ourselves to do it everything at 150%. We got to stop doing this. I'm guilty of it too. We got to stop. Lower that barrier. Set your intention. You're good to go. Okay. Here we go. What are some other questions? How can I help you guys out? Let me see here. Okay, Lizette Nippers, what do you recommend to eat to prepare a 4-day walking event, 25 miles a day? Holy smokes. Okay, so here's the thing. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of activity. I would highly recommend. Now, I'm going to give you a couple different thought processes here. A lot of people say, well, look, the last thing you want to do is switch things up drastically on race day, right? Anyone who's done big endurance events, everyone knows you don't make big changes to your plan the day of the race or even the day before the race. Now, I don't know if you've ever played with carb loading, Lizette, but I mean, obviously, when you're doing big endurance events, it's a very, very common thing, and it would be highly recommended if that's something that you've been doing already. I don't know what your current regimen is as far as nutrition goes, but usually if you've been feeling yourself well and you've been actually performing well as you've been practicing this, then I'd say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep doing what you're doing. However, all too often, I mean, there is a very standard carb loading practice that most endurance athletes go through the day before their event. And so, and a lot of times, even for a female, it could look like, 500, 600 to 800 grams of carbohydrate. And we're talking very like easy digestible carbohydrates, like your jasmine rice. You have some oats, maybe some pasta, have potatoes, just very starchy carbohydrates. So your body, your muscles can soak them all up and load up your glycogen stores so that they're ready to rock. And then, of course, during the day of the event, I would say fuel your body while you're walking those 25 miles a day. Fuel your body accordingly based on the way that you've been feeling it during practices. And so I don't know if you've been using gels or sometimes people just use like, honeycomb snacks or granola bars, whatever it is that you've been doing is typically one of the things that your body's probably going to respond best to. You don't want to switch things up too much. Unless you do have a coach who's been working you through this, and maybe I would definitely follow their guidance in the process. So I hope that helps, my friend. All right. Beautiful pink pixie. You gain the weight back and you have a binge eating disorder. So what is my advice? First thing I will tell you is binge eating and disordered eating is actually, it's out of my scope of practice. And so, I am a coach and I help people through the weight loss journey, but eating disorders, disordered eating, again, those are outside of my scope. So I would highly recommend that you seek some help from a licensed professional who can really, because I'm telling you, they've got the tools to help you create mindfulness around your behavior, why you do what you do, and they can help guide you step by step to freedom again. And so I can't stress this enough. There are a lot of different resources. Let me see if I can pull up some that might be able to help you out on the journey. Let me see here. If you actually just go to like psychologytoday.com, that's where you can find a really good psychologist, or goodtherapy.org, or even speak with your healthcare provider about some like a binge eating program or a disordered eating or an eating disorder program. There is a lot of different resources that perhaps your healthcare provider could give you. Trying to look for some others as far as eating disorders go. I'm going to have to pull up some more there when it comes to eating disorders. So, but nevertheless, it's definitely something that's it's out of my scope of practice. And so I could support you as a friend and, a coach in his own realm. But nevertheless, I think it's really important that you speak with a licensed professional who can really help you get the tools that you need. And first of all, I must say, just understand there is light at the end of this tunnel. I know it can feel like you're stuck and like you're broken. You're not. You're human, and you are one of millions of individuals who suffer from the exact same issues and the same disorder. And so this is absolutely something you can get help for. And you can go on to live a life of abundance and joy, and just know that I am cheering you on every step of the way. Okay. One Fast V8 is going to Disneyland this week. And so, wondering about how do you keep from eating all the sweets? Preparation, my friend. That's one of the best things you can do. Okay, so I just did Disneyland earlier this year, and I actually came fully prepared. I loaded up on a bunch of protein bars before I went, and just packed them in my bag, and then I brought them with me. Obviously, Disneyland. Hey, here's one of the best secrets in the world. When you go to Disneyland, bring a stroller. Even if you don't have a little kid, bring a stroller because they allow it. Everyone's got strollers there, and it's so easy. That way you can put your backpack in there and everything, and they've got little stroller parking areas where you can bring all of your good stuff. I always have a backpack, and in my backpack I've carried my protein, like my protein powders. I got my shaker bottle, I got my bars, I whip up my little peanut butter protein balls, I've got my nuts, I've got everything. Number one, you're going to eat really well. You can stay on track, and you're going to save a fortune. You're going to save so much freaking money. It's the best thing ever. And by the way, you're at Disneyland. Enjoy a treat, but it just doesn't have to be treat after treat after treat. And then you're in a sugar coma by 3 p.m. No, if you're eating well while you're out there, just high protein foods, they're high in fiber, they're keeping you full. You're going to be energized. You're going to be running circles around everybody else. And then go have some Dole Whip. Go eat a churro. Enjoy a turkey leg. But nevertheless, you've got all these other foods that are ready and waiting for you in your backpack or your stroller. And so I really hope that one helps. And then obviously, they might be a little stricter about bringing liquids in, but I brought my water bottle, and I just filled it up at the water fountains, every hour or two. And I brought my water flavorings. And so I'm just well hydrated the entire time. You can't go wrong. It's the way to go. Okay. Coming over here to Facebook. Here we go. Michelle, I do karate, but sometimes it's hard to do a weight workout after because the workouts are so intense. How do I have balance with this? Well, preferably, here's the thing. Don't beat yourself up. I mean, you're already moving, which is going to be a massive win. However, I do understand the importance for resistance training, especially nowadays as we're understanding how necessary it is to maintain our muscle mass. I mean, for not just for our overall physical quality of life, but also for our mental quality of life. Muscle is like an insurance policy for cognition. And so, I mean, they're finding a really cool correlation between the amount of muscle tissue we have on our body and also age-related cognitive decline. I mean, muscle is very expensive. It requires a lot of blood and oxygen, but it also keeps it flowing throughout our system. And so it is, yeah. So I understand the need to resistance train. If there's any way, perhaps you could do your resistance training the days that you don't do karate, and also break it up, because karate is already extremely active, and it sounds like you've got some pretty intense workouts there. So, I mean, what if you could just focus on resistance training and breaking it into a split, like lower body one day, then you do karate, and then you do upper body, and then you do karate, and then you do lower body, and then karate, and then upper body. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do this. If you do want to train on the same day, if you can, try to get your weight training in first, because that way your intensity will be higher. And intensity that's basically what yields the signal. The higher the intensity that you can actually resistance train, then the greater the signal for muscle growth. And then the calories that you're consuming, a lot of them are going to go to the reparation and the rebuilding of that muscle, which is going to then pay off big time in the long run. So I hope that helps. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Marilyn says, what is my carb cycling program? Okay, well, carb cycling is something I've done for years. I mean, I've started carb cycling my clients over 20 years ago. I didn't make it up. It was actually born in endurance, in endurance athletics of all things. It was these Norwegian cross-country skiers that really started doing it as they were glycogen depleting and then loading for big endurance events. And then it got adopted by the bodybuilding world. And they found how effective it was to really alter body composition, to optimize body composition. And then in the early 2000s, that's when I started taking it, especially when I was working with my clients that were 400, 500, 600 pounds. And I went, wait a second, just like these bodybuilders are optimizing their body composition, that's what I'm trying to do with my clients too. Optimize body composition, maintain their muscle while losing fat. And by the way, though, it also allowed them, because of the nature of carb cycling, there was no deprivation or restriction. They could have their carbs and they could have their fats. They just had to pick the days that they wanted them on. And then we could really start to get creative and essentially allow them to be the artist of their own journey. And as long as they painted within the lines of a calorie deficit and hitting their protein targets, then we could create high carb days where they could enjoy their cereal and their pasta and their breads. And we could have our low carb days where they could enjoy their cheese and their cream and their peanut butter and all these different things. And we could start to create a flow throughout the week, a pattern. And then we would time it around their check-ins, their progress checks, to make sure that we were optimizing the number on the scale. And so we've had a ton of fun with it, and I've learned a lot. There's a lot that I'm doing now that I wish I knew 20 years ago. I've changed my approach a lot. That's way more flexible now than ever before. So that's the essence of the carb cycling program. I've written a couple books on it, and then, but the new version of it, I deliver it in my challenges. I do 2 challenges a year. We did the first one in January. The other one, we're actually looking at the end of summer, the back to school time, if you will. And so in which time we will be opening up the doors for my next carb cycle challenge, and everybody's invited. We can have a ton of fun with this. And so don't worry, I'll let everyone know when it happens. And it's when you graduate from the carb cycle challenge, that's when you can join the collective, because I want to make sure that everyone has a really solid base that we can start off with. So they know how to manipulate and alter their body composition. But then we jump into our weekly meal preps and then our office hours on Wednesdays and everything like that. So thanks for asking, Marilyn. That's the carb cycling program for you. Let me see here. Roberto asking about how to carb cycle in general. Great question. So here's the thing. The starter cycle, which is where I like to start everybody off on, and then you get to customize it from there. It's very simple. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is high carb days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday is low carb days. What happens during a high carb day is that our body is going to, as you consume more carbohydrates broken down into glucose is then absorbed into the muscle in the form of glycogen. It pulls water into that muscle. So we notice actually an increase in water retention Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we pull it out and we drop into low carbs Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then on Saturday, then we do our progress checks on Sunday. So we know that because we are actually manipulating water retention, when we start to drop water, we know we're going to get our lowest weight between Saturday and Sunday. That's when we do a progress check. Here's the way I want you to think about it. It's almost like a sculptor, and we throw a big blanket over your body. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're underneath that blanket. We're just tripping away. We're sculpting and sculpting. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we pull the blanket of water off to reveal where the sculpture is. And then we throw the blanket back on the next Monday, and then we work away, and then we pull it off. And it's really cool because week after week, you actually get to ride your body down, and you get to, and also as you go through the process, the reason I like to start it off like that is, and the reason we call it a starter cycle is because it's you learning about yourself. You're going to learn how your body responds on high carb days and low carb days. And by the way, it's a complete split down the middle. Some people feel amazing on high carb days and they feel terrible on low carb days. And some people feel terrible on high carb days and they feel amazing on low carb days. And so from there, when you do, say you feel great on a high carb day and not so great on a low carb day. When you identify that with your energy levels, your mental clarity, the way that you're sleeping, your body temperature, your overall results, we then can manipulate that low carb day to bring the carbs up a little bit so that you still feel good on those low carb days. Because guys, dieting isn't about feeling like crap all the time. When you're dieting, you should feel incredible. We want to make sure that we're nourishing your body the way that your genes are being expressed also, but that you feel good. You're eating the foods that you enjoy, and you have mental clarity, you have focus, you're sleeping well. All of these are incredibly important. And on the flip side, some people feel great on low carb days. Then we need to dial their high carb days down. So we bring their carbs down and we bring their fats up a little bit so that you've really learned how to fine tune your own carb cycle. But that's the starter cycle. 3 days high, 3 days low, and then we have a reset. And then 3 days high, 3 days low. And then from there, based around your workout schedule, we could do 2 high carb days and a low carb day, and then 2 high carb days, low carb days. Or maybe it's 1 high carb day, 2 low carb days. And there's different names for the different cycles. So there's going to be like, the starter cycle, and then we have the ultra cycle, we have the turbo cycle, we have the fit cycle, all these different cycles based on your lifestyle. And so that way you get to customize it. You're the artist in this whole thing. I'll give you the parameters and you paint between the lines of what works best for you. And I found that that's the most effective way to have something that lasts a long time, because this isn't just It's not just, the weight loss chapter. This is also about preparing yourself for maintenance. That's the real challenge of this whole thing. The weight loss part is, for a lot of people, you could lose the weight, but can you keep it off? So it's teaching you self-awareness, how your body responds to the foods, and then teaching you how to create a lifestyle that works well for you, not just during weight loss, but in the long run. So I really hope that helps as far as understanding carb cycling and where I like to start everybody off. Sandy, congratulations, my friend. She says she's lost over 100 pounds on diet alone. Let me see if I can pop this up and if it shows. Here we go. Cool. Check this out. It says, I've lost over 100 pounds on diet alone, 40 pounds away from your goal. Again, congratulations. Been going to the gym about 4 days a week and started lifting. Problem is the scale has not moved in 3 months. I'm in a long stall. So check this out, Sandy. Okay, I can help you here. When you're on a longer weight loss journey, it's really important that you do something that you take something called diet breaks. When you've been in a deficit for quite some time, and that's stressful on the body. It's a good kind of stress, but you put your body under stress. And so the longer that your journey is, say you've got 100, 200 pounds, a lot of people, you can be in a calorie deficit for sometimes 6 months, 7 months. But there's always something called metabolic adaptation. It's the way that your body's always adapting, and it's always trying to learn to whatever stresses that we've imposed upon it. So you've been put your body at a deficit. So it's going to do all these different things to try to lower its metabolic rate and to try to compensate for the lack of calories. And so it's really important, especially as you start to get closer and closer to your goal, that you take more frequent diet breaks. We like to call them a slingshot in the carb cycling world. And it's when you stop getting results carb cycling, there's always the next card to play, so we can always start to adjust your calories down. You've been doing this for too long. And so this is where we actually bring your calories up to maintenance. And I would put you at maintenance. This is going to sound scary and it sounds totally counterintuitive. I'll put it that way. But this thing works like a charm. I'm going to tell you a story. So I did my very first big diet break with my very first client who I helped lose over 400 pounds. He started at 630 pounds. And we were actually well over a year in, and he plateaued. He plateaued probably around 500 pounds, maybe even like in the high fours. And I was like, bro, be honest with me. What are you eating? He's like, dude, I swear I'm following the rules. So you're like, I'm eating to the T. I'm hitting my calorie targets. I'm not overeating. I promise. I was like, you got to be honest with me. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's all math. It's, laws of thermodynamics, calories in, calories out. It's everything we've heard before. He's like, bro, I swear I'm doing everything. I said, and then there's a big back and forth. Thought about it for a while. Thought about some of this concept of a diet break. And this is back in like 2004. And I said, okay, this is going to sound crazy. We're not going to work out at all for 2 weeks. The only thing we're going to do, I'm going to show up here and we're going to walk. That's it. And I need you eating at least 3,000 calories a day, at least. And he looked at me like, are you kidding me? I said, but those calories, it's going to be rice and potatoes and pasta and like lots of high carb foods. I know it sounds crazy, but high carb foods, hit your protein targets, lots of carbs. He did that. And he ended up dropping in 2 weeks, probably about 25 pounds. No joke. It knocked my socks off. Absolutely blew my mind. Now, here's the thing. Did he lose fat? There's a question. Did he lose fat? You guys answer down below. In those 2 weeks when he dropped 25 pounds, did he lose fat? No, he'd already been losing fat. So my friend, don't worry. You feel like you've plateaued. The magic is happening under the surface. He ended up losing was a lot of fluid. His body ended up releasing because remember, when you're stressed, when you're at a calorie deficit for a long time, now granted, there was some fat lost. There was some fat lost in those 2 weeks, but most of that fat was already lost. A lot of times when you're at a plateau, the magic is still happening under the surface. If you're at a calorie deficit, you are still losing fat, period. It might not show on the scale, especially if your body's extremely stressed. Granted, there could be metabolic adaptation that could lower your metabolic rate. But if your body is very stressed, what does your body do? It releases cortisol. Cortisol, it's a beautiful hormone. It's so necessary, but it also increases water retention. And so the moment we can actually start to rest and relax the body. And a lot of times higher carbohydrate foods will do that. They'll pull water into the muscle, but at the same time, they also help the body rest and relax and release. And so sure enough, you'll start to release a lot of the fluid. This is going to happen when you take a diet break. You also reset the hormonal mechanisms as far as your hunger hormones, your leptin, ghrelin. There's a lot of magic that happens when you take this reset. You're not at a surplus, and so you're not going to be gaining any body fat at all. So don't freak out. You're simply taking your body up to maintenance. It's not that you stop moving, you just bring your intensity down a lot to just walking. And sure enough, boom, 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 you see a massive drop. If you are frustrated because you've been at a plateau for a decent amount of time, you should seriously consider what we call a slingshot or a diet break. So you take your body up to maintenance. You increase your carbohydrate intake. I would lower the fat intake just a little bit, increase the carbohydrate intake, bring it to maintenance for at least a week. See what happens. It will probably blow your mind because you will likely see a good drop in the scale. We do it all the time in the collective. It's not to the tune of 25 pounds, but I might have a woman who's, 47 years old. She's plateaued. She hasn't seen results for an entire month. And all of a sudden we diet break her. We bring her up to say 2,200, 2,300 calories, sometimes 2,000. I'm doing it actually with a client in the collective right now. So she's at 2,300 calories. And then all of a sudden she drops 4 pounds in a week. Where did all that weight loss come from? It's not that you dropped 4 pounds of fat in a week. No, you've already lost the fat. Finally, the body's able to shed the water and show you the results of all the work that you've been putting in. So don't throw in the towel. Guys, I know it's so frustrating, especially when you're on the weight loss journey. You're working so hard for the payoff. The magic is happening. You're putting in the work. The magic is happening. You just got to be smart about it and methodical. And once you learn these different techniques, this is why I'm teaching you right now. But once you learn these techniques, you can apply them and actually start to get some really good results. And instead of being frustrated with your body, it will give you an entire new appreciation for your body and how magical it is and how it actually works. And if you understand how it works, then you can simply play the cards when you need to play them and you get to where you need to go. So I hope that helps. Let me see. Darcy, I'm so glad that you love the shakes. So we do have white chocolate peppermint in the large tubs. We might be sold out right now. So keep an eye on that because it used to be just a seasonal thing, but it's so delicious. And I'm with you on that one. I love it. I especially like making my ice creams with it. It's so good. But we should have it coming back here pretty soon. So Dorothy, high carb. Dorothy's asking, high carb equals what? What's the number and what's low carb? It's all somewhat relative, but high carb, I would actually put it in the range of about 40, 45 plus % of the calories that you're consuming from the day are coming from carbohydrate. And then low carb balanced would be somewhere between, I would say 25 to say 40, 45% carbohydrate. And then low carb would be anything under 25% of your carbohydrates. Carbohydrates would be less than 25% of your calories for the day. So low carb would be 25% and under for your calories for the day. High carb, I would say probably going to be 45 plus % of your calories from the day would be coming from carbohydrate. That's what I'd say. So I can't put a number on it in grams because I'm talking to a 400-pound man versus a 130-pound woman. Those numbers look very, very different. So Amanda's asking about carb cycling and if women have to change the high versus low days to accommodate the period cycle. I personally prefer not to. I like to keep the consistency because the women's cycles usually happens like 2 weeks climbing, 2 weeks as far as water retention goes, 2 weeks climbing, 2 weeks falling, 2 weeks climbing, 2 weeks falling, right? And so I like to cycle underneath that. And I like to keep the consistency with the cycling. So as long as the women can track their cycle and they understand what's happening there, it's almost like just watching 2 waves happening at once, if this makes sense. And so like, here's your 2-week cycle, right? And then you're carb cycling underneath that. And so as long as you just understand what's happening, at least it'll give us more consistency. It is a little bit more difficult to carb cycle, on these in like 2-week phases. But at the same time, that's my preference. I'm sure there's probably a lot of other people that like to do their own thing and they might prefer to carb cycle around it. I hope that helps. Let me see. Yo, Darcy's gone from a 6X to an XL. Let's go, Darcy. Congratulations, my friend. So awesome. Karen says, what are my thoughts on fasting for weight loss? Okay, so personally, I'm not a huge fan of fasting. I think you can still get so many of the incredible benefits of, usually with fasting, you always hear this magic word, autophagy. Here's the best part. If you're at a calorie deficit, autophagy is actually happening. I know it's not on the extent or the same scale quite as like a full on fast would be, but it's going to be a lot more consistent for a long period of time. Also, my only concern with fasting is I know people usually fast and they'll get instant gratification. They get really fast results, but then you have to reintroduce foods. And so for all too often, especially with a lot of the folks I've worked with, it causes that cyclical dieting kind of, and I won't even say cyclical, I'm going to call it straight up yo-yo dieting kind of mentality where it's like fast results and then unsustainable rebound, fast results, unsustainable rebound. And so this is why I typically back off from fasting to a certain extent. I don't disagree with it. I do think there are some benefits, but at the same time, I found especially with the folks I work with, I like much more of a consistent feeding. I'm totally fine with intermittent fasting. I think that the literature speaks for itself there. I don't even have to really weigh in on that one too much because the literature says, look, if it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, great. As long as you're at a calorie deficit in every 24-hour period or a cumulative calorie deficit over the course of a week, you're going to win. And so that's the answer on intermittent fasting. Oh, Queen Thunder Thighs asked another question about intermittent fasting. Love the name, by the way. Okay, let me see here. So Darcy, you're at 264 pounds. You want to be at 130. Okay, so you've got a journey ahead of you. How many calories should you be doing every day to help with that goal? Here's what you need to do, Darcy. First thing I want you to do, I have a calorie calculator. If you just go to the link in my bio, you should click on that. Oh, you're on Facebook. You know what? You can actually go to my website, chrispowell.com there, and you can click on the calorie calculator. Just go determine how many calories your body burns every day, and then create a very sustainable deficit, which might be 300 or 400 calories, maybe even 500 calories from how many calories your body burns every day. That's going to help you because, again, the number that I give you is going to be very different from anybody else. Everybody burns calories differently throughout the day. And so, and by the way, that number is a range. It's never a single number. It's always a range. So just keep that in mind. Go click on that calorie calculator and hopefully it'll give you a good number for what you're burning. And then you take maybe 500 calories off of that. It's going to put you in a really good place just as far as the starting point goes. All right. Let me see here. Let me see. Yo, Mary Hoffman's having a bad day, Mary. She's on fire right now. Let me see here. But Mary, if you're here for diet advice and transformation advice, you're in the right place. I'm answering questions right now. Oh, Debbie, my pleasure, my friend. My pleasure. Karen, hopefully that helped my whole thing about the calorie calculator. Hopefully that helps point you in the right direction there. Let's see. Looking for some more questions here. Stephanie says, what are my thoughts on sugar-free drinks like Pepsi Max? And do I think that people can lose weight while still drinking these? 1,000%, my friend. Yes. I'm a huge fan. I'll be the first to admit also that I was a zealot back in the day. I didn't drink diet sodas for over 10 years. I was so convinced that they were terrible for you until I actually started reading the literature about it and actually looking at the studies around diet sodas and the massive amounts that you would actually have to consume for them to significantly impact the body. But on top of that, I was also blessed to have worked side by side with a couple of the doctors who did a massive amount of research, published research in peer-reviewed journals on the efficacy of diet sodas for people losing weight and maintaining it in the long run. And they actually found that individuals using diet sodas lost weight faster and kept it off longer. than people who deprived and restricted themselves of that sweet craving. The reason being is that it took the place of sugar. And so they consumed fewer calories, and then they were able to stave off that sugar, that sweet tooth when they were actually maintaining their weight loss. And so I'm a huge fan of them. I've been drinking diet sodas myself for about 15 years. I highly suggest them as a tool for all of my individuals who are going through the weight loss journey. Now, am I going to sit here and say it's good for you? I don't know if it is or not. I mean, granted, there are ingredients in there that are not natural. However, is it a great tool to help you in the process of weight loss and perhaps maintenance? Yes. I think it's a phenomenal tool, just like GLP-1 medications. I think it's a very powerful tool. I think it's really important that we educate ourselves on them first, understand the pros and cons, and then make a decision of what's in your best interest. But I've got a 12-pack of Diet root beer in my fridge right now. I got a 12-pack of Diet Dr. Pepper in my other fridge. And yeah, I reach for them on a regular basis, and I have my clients do the same, and my clients get phenomenal results. So I hope that helps. Awesome. Guys, thank you so much. My friends, I am so sorry, but time flies by. I was supposed to jump onto a meeting 6 minutes ago, and I was having so much fun with you guys. I totally missed it. So I gotta run right now. Y'all are the best. Have a wonderful and safe Memorial Day. And hey, guys, we're 3 Mondays in a row right now. Let's keep this thing going. So yeah, this is awesome. Great questions. Thank you guys so much for participating with me also, and for the chat earlier on. Tell me about what you got going on this Memorial Day, and also who you are remembering in the process. So and guys, thanks for also sharing some of your stories. I'm reading some of these comments, and I know you guys have been through a lot, but thank you for sharing openly and honestly. I appreciate you all. I love you guys. Be safe and have a wonderful Memorial Day. I'll see you guys next time. See ya. Bye.